As part of its drive for providing quality and innovative and efficient learning and development in Nigeria, Phillips Consulting hosted a roundtable on organizational learning in the digital age in Lagos. It brought together stakeholders in the organizational learning space in the country. The managing director of Phillips Consulting, Mr. Rob Taiwo, in his opening remarks, shared the essence and value of digital space learning for organizations.
70% of the Nigerian population are under 30, 50% are under 18. If you look globally, 47% of the jobs that we're currently doing now will not exist in 2032. And if you think about secondary school leavers, 31.8% are currently unemployed. So that's the state of things now. And I'll tell you something interesting. Some of us might think that it's down to the government to solve some of those challenges, but that's not necessarily the case. It has to be a combination of government and also private sector organizations. So what does this mean in terms of challenge? It means a couple of things. The first thing it means is we have a fantastic opportunity. There's an opportunity in terms of the demographic dividend. We have a young workforce. In Europe, there's an aging workforce. A young workforce, and that means we can fully engage them to do some powerful things now and in the future. The second thing is it brings a broader challenge around how can we train en masse. So if you think about the complexities of the landscape, the complexities of Nigeria, also the complexities of organizations. And the third thing is, it's an interesting component, it's called the psychological contract. So if you think about employers and employees, there's been a traditional relationship which is both contractual and covenantal. As this recent recession in Nigeria has shown, the concept of a job for life, and this is the same across the world, the concept of the job for life doesn't really exist. Generally, especially when you think about the millennials coming in, generally, I don't know, the average job span is probably 2 to 5 years. And there's a different kind of relationship that employees are looking for now. It's a relationship which says, I will work for you and I will work hard, but in return, you will provide me with the skills and the opportunity for personal self-development so that if I needed to leave in 2 to 3 or 4 years' time, leave your organization, my career path, the trajectory will still go up and I'll work for another organization and that's fine. That's the new relationship. What are the benefits of digital learning in that context? Well, I think the first thing, and it's an obvious one, is you can train en masse. So you can impact a group of people, whether you're talking about in society, whether community, whether in a complex organization like the client I spoke about before. You can provide high quality training en masse. The second thing is there's obvious cost benefits to that as well. So traditionally, if you step back, you're thinking about the traditional classroom experience. Now we have borderless learning. Learning can be everywhere. In my mind, the smartphone has become the new classroom and the laptop has become the new type of university. So what does that mean? It means you can move, individuals can move forward in terms of the learning experience. And what I call the 3 Ps. The first thing is place, they can train anywhere. The second thing is path, you can build your own individual pathway to training. And the third thing is you can move at your own pace, you can move at your own speed. So it's a combination of these things that makes digital learning particularly exciting.
Mr. Paul Ayim, Senior Partner, Phillips Consulting, shared insights on global trends in digital learning.
One of the trends, and this was called from the training industry, one of the leading, organizations, they did this as, some of the trends that would shape 2018 and beyond. Some of them are already happening, but they will continue to shape. And that is even clarifying the whole definition of digital learning, that it is not a type of learning. It is just the way we learn that has changed. Then there is the micro-learning. Learning doesn't have to be an event anymore. Yes, it is true that the classroom is not going to just fly away, but we're saying you don't need to wait for the classroom to feel for you to get learning. And so the time that you need to be able to get that learning needs to continue to reduce, because it's only in that way that we can embed learning into the flow, into the workflow that each of us are engaged in. I do not need to ask for learning. I need to, almost demand that I need to solve a problem, and so I find a learning asset that comes in very handy that helps me to be able to solve that problem. Therein lies, the beauty of micro-learning. Most of you know that in Nigeria, I think it's almost 5 to so many years, that we moved into this concept of the bite society. You know, everything became in that small chunk. You know, a sachet. I don't need more than a sachet of milk. You know, I mean, just what I need, just what I can take at that moment. So that's that whole concept and that, you know, initiative around micro. We want to make sure that people do not complain that, wow, you know, this is taking too long for me to be able to get to the point. If I'm trying to solve a problem, if I can find a 4-minute asset that can help me to deal with that problem, then that's just what I need at that point. Next is this whole concept of adaptive learning. How can we really immerse, you know, our people into that flow? How can we make, you know, learning become more like a partner to success? Some of you may have heard about the concept of performance support. That is what this tries to paint. It's like saying, you know, for every question that I ask, you know, I want an answer almost as I click my finger. I do not want to wait anymore.
Director, Capacity Development, CBN, Mrs. Chizoba Mojeku, gave a brief testimonial on how the adoption of the CBN Open Learning I Learn campaign has transformed it from the headquarters to the branches.
What did we do in terms of the learning? We partnered with, at the time we were trying to sell this to the organization, you know, I was very lucky to have a deputy governor who was interested in learning. He kept a learning diary every single day. Once in a month, even when I was his HR director, you know, we have conversations around things that he has learned for the month. And so he said, you know, I really want to see this system. If I see the system and it meets my needs, then, you know, I also want to learn online. So Skillsoft opened the system for myself and the deputy governor. And they opened it also for my department to try it. And the more we had people try the system, the more people realized that, okay, yeah, this will make a difference. Now, the key lessons that we learned on that journey is, you know, you've got to understand your culture, because it's only when you understand your culture that you can disrupt the game and change the paradigm, you know, for the organization. In doing that, it's got to be fun. You've got to target your demographic group. You can't just do for all, you know, even if it's just a small group of people who will be your early adopters, who are going to be your evangelists, you know, target it at a certain group, you know, and then do your activities. And please, for us, I don't know about you, for us, our older community was going to become a problem. So we totally ignored them in the first phase of stuff that we're doing. It's now that we're going to go back, you know, to go and get the message to our older workforce and the people who have stayed there for a very long time and the people who are, you know. On the other hand, in the branches, I'm sending out people to the UK, sending them out to the US. So because we're sending them out, you know, the assistant directors, principal managers this year, they actually, you know, feel that, okay, CDD is on our side. So when their geeks say, hey, you guys, we need to do this course, here's a great course to do, they jump at it because they don't know whether that's what's going to unlock the magic doors, you know, to these UK, US. So you've got to adjust your messages and also maintain the link with the organization. And you have to turn over ownership of the project to the geeks, to your champions, because at the end of the day, they make things happen. The job I do is just to stand here and make presentations and talk, you know, but they are the feet on the ground, the hands on the ground who make it happen.
Mr. Rob Taiwo, Mr. Paul Aim, Mr. Irwin Van Stavel of LRMG Learning, and Mr. Shane Kerwan of Skillsoft speak further on the forum and the prospects of digital learning.
Basically, with digital learning, as mentioned, it's a step change away from e-learning, and it enables you to do three things. I think the first thing is it enables you to move forward in terms of learning at your own path. So you create your own learning and development experience. The second thing is it enables you to move forward to learn anywhere. So it'll learn on a number of different channels, number of different devices, whether it's your mobile, cell phone or laptop. And the third thing is it enables you to, the point about place. So you can learn anywhere.
The behavior, the consuming behavior of learning of our people has changed. It has been, you know, disrupted by technology. and the many other things that are happening. So consumers need more innovative ways and approaches to be able to learn. And we also talk about embedding learning into the workflow. So all of this has led to that whole concept of digital, using the various technologies that are available to ensure that we provide learning to the learner, so the learner doesn't need to go to learning. Learning is actually available, and the learner can pull that learning at any time and place and at the convenience of the learner.
I think from a Nigerian perspective, you are at the tipping point of realizing the impact of multi-generations in the environment. And I think in this audience particularly, there's lots of energy around wanting to do something different to make an impact. You have wonderfully talented people, aspirational individuals, and I think it's time for us to make a change, take the opportunity to do so.
The idea of taking learning into the workflow or embedding learning in an environment where it's actually needed is crucial. If we take a look at the 70-20-10 principle, only 10% of the time will you actually be taking formal learning, and the rest of the time it's informal or working with colleagues to learn from them to try and bring that into your workplace. So what we're looking to do is to extend that 10% into an environment where when you have an issue or when you're facing a problem, you can use the ELSA tool, the ELSA application in your browser to identify what learning is required to solve that problem. If we can bring learning into the workflow, it will certainly improve the performance of the individual, it will improve the performance of the organisation, and also their response time to learning will increase rapidly because they will feel the reward instantaneously. So when our colleagues from CBM were talking about the return on investment and working through Kirkpatrick's 5-step process, you're looking at an environment then where you're immediately going from 1 to 4 and can apply 5. So I think that's the real relevance and the real importance of bringing learning into the workflow.
In this digital revolution, organizations have a great opportunity of repositioning themselves to evolve, develop, and provide innovative learning solutions, particularly for the emerging millennial workforce.